Good evening, fight fans. This is the Radulich and Broadcasting Network alternative commentary for Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Brad Solomon on DAZN. Coming to you live from the Fantasy Springs Resort Casino in Indio, California. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And joining me to cover all these wonderfulness in the boxing world for the WBA Gold Welterweight Championship, because let me tell you, what boxing needs is more belts and more titles. Ladies and gentlemen, from Boxing and Brews, my good friend, Mr. John War. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, Mark. How's it going? How's it going, fight fans tuning in? Anytime Virgil Ortiz gets in the ring, man, it's exciting. It's an exciting night.
Let's talk about that. So tell me a little bit about Virgil Ortiz Jr. Why is he such an exciting fighter to watch?
Highly touted, at this point, contender. Super young, full-fledged welterweight, packs a lot of power, has a very, highly regarded amateur background. Very good in the ring, comes from that Robert Garcia school, so you know he's well trained. And he's just a real exciting fighter, got a lot of knockouts.
According to the DAZN copy, Ortiz, 14-0 with 14 KOs, kicked off his year in style by defeating Jesus Valdez Barrian in January. He followed that victory with two more dazzling performances, a vicious KO of Mauricio Herrera in May, and a 6-round KO over Antonio Orozco, which I believe I saw, in the home state of Texas in August. 21-year-old looks to cap off 2019 with another highlight reel finish and keep the momentum going for an even bigger 2020. Pretty much agree with all that?
Yeah, absolutely. We knew when he fought Mauricio Herrera, we knew Herrera was a little done at that point, but it was a good barometer for Ortiz because he dispensed of him like he should have. So we knew he was ready to keep going up in competition. Tonight, not the highest step up, but this is a showcase for him. This is a headline for him, so should be a good show.
And stepping in the ring to give him some trouble, try to be in his way, is Brad Solomon at 28-1 with 9 KOs. What do you think of this guy?
Yeah, Solomon, not a lot of world beaters on his resume. He's a pure boxer. Not a lot of power, a lot of UDs, a lot of TKO, not a lot of TKOs, but some TKOs. Not a lot of KOs. So this is just someone to hopefully give Virgil Ortiz some good rounds. He's a little older. He's 36. So he's well older than Ortiz. But if Ortiz is on his game tonight and doing what he's supposed to be doing, it should be a quick and early night for him.
Solomon competes for the first time since April of 2018. Oof, it's a bit of rust.
Yeah, it's a long time.
The 36-year-old had a stellar start to his career, winning his first 26 fights before dropping a split decision to Konstantin Ponomarev in 2016. He's gone to win back-to-back bouts against David Bensi and Paddy Gallagher. A win over one of the guys viewed as the future of the sport puts Solomon in prime position to get a crack at the welterweight title in the future. So what can we expect to see in Ortiz Jr. versus Solomon?
I expect Ortiz to put the pressure on from the get-go, stays behind his jab, is looking for that right. But again, I've seen Ortiz put people down with the counter jab, with the check hook. He packs a lot of power, so I expect him to look to seek and destroy.
What are the odds of Solomon pulling off an upset here and putting one in the loss column for Virgil and kind of stopping his momentum?
Well, I'm not really a betting guy, Mark, but I would say it's not looking good that happens. I'm telling you, I don't see it going past 6.
Okay.
But I'm always willing to be surprised, and I will have no problem being wrong.
Well, yeah, a couple of these, we weren't quite sure how they were going to go, and you and I have had the sort of the dubious honor of having called some real firefights in the short time we've been doing this. So maybe we'll get treated to another one tonight. Maybe they go the distance. and we get to see some fireworks. Or, hey, as a founding member of the First Round Finish Club, I would not be totally upset if this ended sooner than later by vicious KO. That would certainly be a thing that I would enjoy.
No, yeah, I enjoy that too, and that's the kind of fighter Ortiz is, so that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities.
Hey, earlier in the evening, and we've had some pretty good knockouts on this card so far, on the undercard, both of those ended early.
Yeah.
Real early and viciously, my goodness. We had Eric DAZN, who KO'd in the third round Saul Roman. We had Luis Feliciano, who had a unanimous decision in 10 rounds over Herbert Acevedo.
Hell of a fight.
Indeed. Alex Roca KO'd Roberto Valenzuela in round 5.
Another Rocha punches so hard. Every punch he throws has bad intentions behind it.
And Bektimir, I'm going to struggle through this. Malakuziev, close enough. Unanimous decision in 10 rounds over Vaughn Alexander, 100-90 across the board.
Yeah, the guy, we're going to struggle with his name, but I mean, he's a boxer in the purest sense, but he'll stand in there and exchange with you. Vaughn Alexander is a tough guy. It's hard to get him out of there, but he really negated everything that Alexander had to offer tonight.
And then finally, and we were talking about this before we hit the record button, Alberto Machado KO'd Luis Perozzo in the second round. Perozzo knocked Machado down early, and then Plum went crazy.
I was...
Go ahead.
No, yeah, I was surprised by that knockdown that Machado got against him, but, you know, he responded well with body shots to his opponent, which I was surprised that his opponent rushing in like that was so unprepared.
Yeah, so that was a fun. I've been off and on working on my daughter's music playlist. She asked me, she's like, "Hey, I'm interested in playing the guitar. Can you send me some bands with female singers? No screaming. I hate that. But, you know, nice female voices with guitar rock." So I sent her 4 decades worth. And so I was kind of up and down, looking at the screen, looking at my phone. And, like, shortly into that fight, all of a sudden, these guys are having Roadhouse. And I see one go down, and I'm like, oh, my God. And I kind of sat up and kind of pushed my phone away. And the next thing I know, he was knocked out.
Yeah.
Boy,
went down 2 or 3 times in that round, didn't he?
Yeah, but boy, is that a lesson in just because you knock a guy down, don't go insane.
Yeah, very amateur in his approach. You know, Wounded Dog is a dangerous dog, you know, so Machado did well after coming off of losing his belts to Cancio the way he did. This was a good bounce-back fight, so good on him. Let's see where he goes from here.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Have we had an opportunity, you and I, to talk about from last Saturday, Ruiz versus Joshua? I don't think we have. I think this is the first fight we've covered since then. So let's, as Ortiz makes his way to the ring, before they touch gloves and begin the fight, just let's bat that around for a minute. What did you think of the Ruiz Joshua fight, and more importantly, why are half the idiots on Twitter wrong when they say it was a boring fight?
Well, I said on Twitter, man, I was so confused by what I was seeing in the beginning. I was just totally thrown off by what Ruiz did and what he offered in the ring. And then I was totally surprised by Anthony Joshua's overall approach. I knew he was going to box, but I didn't know he was going to box to that extent. And I knew Ruiz was going I knew he had gained some weight, but I didn't know he had gained weight to that extent. Those kind of fights aren't boring because you're always anticipating something happening. You never knew. I never knew how Joshua was going to respond to what Ruiz was going to do, and I never knew if Joshua was going to, going for the finish at any point. But I called the fight anticlimactic. That's what I called it. I want to see it third, but I don't need to see it right away. I was surprised. I'm good. I'm glad Joshua won. Good for him. And now I want to see the big three go at it. Let me see the round robin.
Yeah, I need, and I think they've started talking about mandatory challengers. I heard a rumor that Joshua gave up the WBO belt. Boxing's such a mess, but
yes,
in a perfect world where things make sense, I think Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury need to have their fight in February. Anthony Joshua needs to lay in the cut and fight the winner of that fight. Period,
totally
comma,
agree.
the end.
Yes. In a perfect world. You said it. In a perfect world.
In a perfect world, yeah.
But we live in a world with boxing.
And mandatory challengers. And fights that are made, and then you never hear from these fighters again. What happened to, I think it's Trevor Bryant and Manuel, oh gosh, what's his name?
Char.
Yeah. Did aliens
Man.
take them away?
I want to say I saw Char earlier this year, but I could be totally lying about that. I've seen so many fights. I don't know, man. The heavyweight division it's super top heavy, which makes it more frustrating that these guys just don't get it done. We have an opportunity to do something that hasn't been done in so many years. Let's get undisputed. We have a chance to have an undisputed heavyweight champion. Let's not throw that away. But like you said, there's boxing, there's mandatory challengers, there are belts who are saying immediately after he won, he gets issued a mandatory. So, that's just how it goes.
And then they lifted the suspension off of Dylan White, coming off of his win in Saudi Arabia. So now, and I believe he's, the interim WBC?
He's the silver champion, and I guess he's the mandatory now after Fury again. So, Mark, I don't know. I don't know.
I get your frustration. You're just like, why is he asking me about this? I just want to.
Yeah. But honestly, I don't want to hear Dylan call out. I don't want to hear Dylan call out. I don't want to hear anybody call out anybody anymore. I want to hear announcements for fights.
Yes.
And I want to face-offs.
I 110% agree. The schedule wants dates.
Yes. Yeah. Until then, I don't want to hear anything about splits, across the street. I don't hear anything. Just let me know when the fight happens so I can book my ticket or buy my pay-per-view or whatever it may be.
No truer words have ever been spoken. We are in round one, and Ortiz comes out jabbing. Like most fights, they are feeling each other out. I like Solomon staying light on his feet. He's, bouncing back and forth. He's not just saying, static. So I like that he's making Ortiz, I don't know if chase is the right word, but definitely he seems to be trying to draw Ortiz in from the start.
Yeah, Solomon, with his extensive amateur background, he's a boxer in the truest sense. But Ortiz Jr. is very mature in his style for his age, so it is going to be nice to see how he responds to Solomon's boxing. But Ortiz stiff jab, shoots a hard right, doesn't waste opportunity. So it's going to be an interesting fight.
I'm watching the footwork for Ortiz. This is a guy who's trying to load up his punches early.
Oh, yeah. He's got good footwork. He's got good power. He comes from that Garcia. I love Robert Garcia's training. So I think he's well-rounded in his approach. But, yeah, he has bad intentions. He wants to hurt you.
Yeah, see, I'm not seeing him being, not that his footwork is bad or anything, but I'm noticing that he's not staying light on his feet at all. He's kind of plodding and planting, and he wants to throw bombs. And he had Solomon in the corner there, and he was working him over. But Solomon, to his credit, was able to spin out and get away. By the same token, Ortiz is keeping him fighting along the ropes. This is not a good look for Solomon in this first round.
No, Ortiz is good with his mental pressure. He's not going to chase you. He's good at cutting the ring off. I don't know if people know the difference. The difference between chasing is I'm following where you're going, as opposed to cutting the ring off is I'm forcing you into parts of the ring where I want you to be. And he's good at doing that. So you're going to see Solomon against the ropes. You're going to see him in the corner. And Ortiz, once he gets you where he needs you, I think he will begin to shoot and fire off when he gets you where he wants you.
Ortiz attempted to fire 2 to the body. They didn't quite get to where they needed to be. Solomon comes forward, kind of just clinches up the body a little bit and then lets him go.
Along with Ortiz's mental pressure, like you said, Solomon's been hasn't fought since, early 2018. Let's see how well he does with the stamina. That mental pressure doesn't allow you to think the way that you want to think. It doesn't allow you to catch your breath the way that you want to catch it. So let's see how Solomon responds. It's been a while. He is a lifelong boxer. So let's see where it goes.
That's the end of the first round. Pretty easy round to score. Ortiz 10-9.
Yeah, absolutely. Ortiz let off the more punches, landed the most punches, even power punches. Solomon just did what he needed to do and moved around the ring.
Yeah, I'd like to see... I can see what Solomon's thinking. I don't want to open up too much. This guy's going to wreck my face.
Yeah.
So, but I don't want him to fight too tentatively. I think this is not the fight to give away rounds.
Right.
If you're Solomon.
And I think that's the only way Solomon's going to win is by, pointing him and winning the rounds. But like you said, he's already given away one, and I don't see Ortiz not doing work in the rounds to just give up rounds.
Right.
Now Solomon does come out throwing.
Round 2. And once again, Ortiz comes out. I like his jab. A little more bouncy in the step, which I like to see. Don't be so concerned with leaning on your legs and feet and throwing those power punches. Use your jab a little bit. Throw some volume. You've got 12 rounds. Easy does it, buddy.
Solomon is fighting back a little bit in this round.
Yep. He's flicking that jab out there. Good combinations from Solomon.
Yeah.
Controlled aggression. I like to see that.
Ortiz went on attack, hit him a little bit, kind of a little off balance, though.
Good right from Ortiz. Scores a clean hit on Solomon. To his credit, he ate it and kept coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ortiz is very confident now after that one strike, and is like, "Oh, I'm going to try to knock this guy out."
Ortiz is very blessed with power, man. I mean, any punch that he throws could be the punch, which makes his fights exciting. You never know which punch is going to be.
And now, see, Solomon, he, instead of sort of covering up and maybe countering, he's just circling away, or he's covering, but he's not offering any return fire.
Exactly, right. And I don't know if it's ring rust. I'm not sure what that could be. Many reasons that's going into the way that he's responding in the ring, because most of his work, even in this round, was in the first half, and in the second half, he kind of let off the gas.
I think that clean punch to the face, that's straight from Ortiz, shook him more than he's letting on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Solomon's showing in his body language and in his technique so far, he doesn't want to mix it up with this guy.
Right. I believe that both their body language, even though Solomon is fighting back a little bit, I don't think Solomon wants to be here all night.
No.
And it's going to show more and more as the rounds go on. And that's just a part of boxing. Lots of times it's a war of attrition. And Ortiz, maybe this is going to be a part of his development. You can't always knock people out. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to just impose your will on them and run the clock out.
I didn't get the tail of the tape Does Solomon have a longer reach on Ortiz?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I remember looking at the tail of the tape. Or Solomon's like an inch taller and has like an inch or two longer in the reach.
So I think he may have gone into this thinking, okay, well, if I use my reach, if I fight long, I can keep this guy away from me and maybe win on points. I would almost say abandon that strategy if that's what he's going in with, and this, man, I may sound like a broken record here, but I'm wondering if he wouldn't do better actually getting in the phone booth with Ortiz and maybe countering to the body.
Yeah, I mean, the boxing is not going to win him this fight. I just think now the power, he's just going to be too wary of that power. Like you said, that right hand in that last round kind of spoke to him a little bit. And whatever he thought he was going to do kind of switched up after that point.
He might want to employ the Canelo versus Kovalev strategy of cover up, walk in, break that distance down, and then start firing some uppercuts and shots to the hooks to the body.
Yeah, I agree. I love going to the body, and I always think that these guys who come in with extensive amateur backgrounds, a lot of them seem to go to the body, but I haven't seen much of that from Solomon at all. Maybe one or two body shots and not anything significant.
So Solomon's up on his bicycle again. But
yeah.
Ortiz, you really nailed it when you said Ortiz is very good about cutting off that ring. He is controlling Solomon's movements, and he's not letting him get far.
No, not at all. It's like I said, when a fighter is like that, and when they are skilled at cutting the ring off, I mean, it wears his opponent down so much. I see it already. I see Solomon's open mouth.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to engage. He's he's waiting for Ortiz to come forward and fire on him, and so he's defending, but then that's it. So at this point, Ortiz is just going to break him down, and it's only a matter of time before this guy finally is broken down enough that Ortiz can start scoring clean on him, and then it's probably all over but the shouting.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I think only thing I want to see from Ortiz is he is going to the body, just more. I want to see 2 or 3 to the body before he even thinks about going to the head. Right now he's going once to the body, mixing up going to the head. I believe that this guy, at this age, with his lack of activity, body shots will get this guy out of here ASAP.
I hate to be overly critical and negative, but this feels like a sparring session for Ortiz.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I knew coming in this was an Ortiz headlined event for Golden Boy, so I knew it was going to be more of a showcase as opposed to his fights before, which were we wanted to see, hey, are you ready for the step up? So this is the result of those last 2 fights. After this, we're going to see. I don't know if you saw in the crowd earlier. I saw Blair Cobbs in the crowd. So I'm thinking that Golden Boy probably wants to try to match those 2 up.
This bears a slight resemblance in tone to the Usyk fight.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it just seems like one guy is kind of say, here's what I can do, and the other guy just kind of takes it and doesn't embarrass himself too much, but just doesn't offer much in the way of competition.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, Golden Boy has a history of, not in their main events, but, in the undercard, some of those matchups are pretty good,
Yeah, absolutely.
Prospects out there, but sometimes in those showcase fights, we just get a lot of one-sided affairs. However, I will say that with Ortiz, he is looking for something major. So hopefully after this we start getting those, which it comes into how boxing works.
Yeah, what I don't want to see Ortiz do is blow his opportunity by getting too far ahead of himself, too cocky, and this guy gets a lucky shot off, and he gets he risks that undefeated streak.
Yeah, I agree, and That's why I'm glad he's with. And I'm an Ortiz fan. I'm from originally from the Metroplex, so he's from the Dallas area, so I root for him. But I am glad he's with the Garcia camp. They seem to they put together some really well-rounded fighters in and out of the ring for the most part. So, and with Ortiz, they got him. He's top tier. So hopefully they do well with him, treat him right, and hopefully his head is on right, and he's able to take advantage of this opportunity he got.
Solomon threw a left hook and utterly lost balance and just kept running.
Yeah.
Good.
We're one-sided affair so far.
Yeah, no, all the rounds to Ortiz, but that was a good counter to the body for Solomon. I mean,
hurt him, I think. I will say Ortiz he's staying composed. He's not, over punching.
Yeah, he's putting work in.
Yes. Good defense from Ortiz, but not much head movement at all, which is going to be an issue once he starts facing that top tier competition.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've noticed is he's from the waist up, he is very stiff.
Yes.
And I said that about his footwork. This is a guy who seems to be planting, kind of sitting in the cocked and ready to fire position, and then he does, because I mean his jabs are scary.
There you go. Right, just as you say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this guy is up there. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess you're a little ahead of me. Yes, we have our first knockdown of the fight here in round 4. Solomon takes the count. He says, "I'm ready to go," and here we go again.
Yeah, I think Solomon's about softened up. Even then, after the knockdown, Ortiz, he's not going in too crazy. He's still being steadied in his approach.
Yes, don't do the Pat Barry thing where you give away an entire fight after you nearly knock a guy out.
Yeah. But you're right, man. The stiffness of her body is like I said, it's not going to be an issue against this guy. But once he's in those major title fights and those guys, he's available to be hit a little bit too much for my taste.
Right. That's what I was going after. Is like he's going to get in there with a guy who is a bit more evasive, can sidestep around the ring a lot faster than this fella can, and he's going to get tore up if he doesn't learn to move his head around.
Yeah. 147 is full of killers, man. So if you have a weakness in your game, there's a fighter who is able to expose that and take advantage of it. So, like you said, I hope that like he's with Garcia, he's with Golden Boy. And hopefully they do right with matchmaking, because at any point at 147, that could be it.
Yeah, he needs whatever he does next. He needs to spend his training time training under the rope. The bobbing and weaving under a rope. They need to focus on that head movement.
Yeah,
because he's like a bust. He's just a stiff head and shoulders there. But what's saving him is the fact that he has so much power in his punches.
Mm-hmm. And I like just right there. I don't know if you just saw. He shows a little bit of defense, a little bit of slipping, but it's not consistent. It seems like he has to think about that, and
that's because he's so focused on power punching.
Absolutely,
he's not so much worried about boxing and breaking the opponent down with combinations. He's looking to club a guy.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely seek and destroy. So, but It works for him. Let's see how his fighting style works for him in the future going forward, because styles make fights. See who's matched up against. But again, he's going to have to do a little bit of work on that defense going forward, because any of those top second tier guys that he fights at 147, it's elite. It's all elite at this weight. I mean, who at 147? Who at the top of 147 can you see him beating right now? Do you see him beating Sean Porter, Keith Thurman? No. Even Danny Garcia? Oof.
No, those first couple of guys are hard to hit, and they're not going to be like Solomon here and just take a beating.
Right. Exactly.
I think we have a knockdown here at the end of the round.
Yep. Here we go.
Oh no, it's a minute and 5 into round 5 here. So we have our second knockdown of the fight.
That's another thing. When he hurts a guy, he puts his punches together really well. Really accurate, straight lines.
I don't think Solomon wants to be in there anymore.
No, yeah, I think that's going to be it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to stop this fight. And we're done. Hey! Short night, sir. Short night.
Yes, sir.
You're a winner by knockout. Man. Yeah, that's all right. One time we did just a spur of the moment Bellator fight. We did a Fedor and I think Matt Mitrione, and it was over within seconds of the first round. It took us longer to talk about the fight than the fight itself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it is sometimes, man. So it was some good work by Ortiz. Solomon gave him a couple of decent rounds while he could, but Ortiz is. I think he's ready for a step up, but he's not quite ready for that championship belt yet.
No, I don't necessarily want to see him facing the top of 147, but give him the next tier. Let's get him on some undercards of some bigger fights, or maybe a couple of more top spots on DAZN or ESPN. Get his name out there a little bit more and keep building him up a little bit. But the net effect of this fight was he's got some good highlight reel footage from here. He looked like a killer. He lived up to the hype. I mean, look, all the credit in the world to Solomon. He got in there. He tried his level best, and he just got beat down.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is 15th win, 15th knockout. There should be no rush. You know what I mean? Right now it's crowded. Even if he wanted one of those fights, he's not going to get one of those fights. No matter how much he calls them out. Luckily, he's on DAZN and with Golden Boy, so he has a chance to make some good money. You know what I mean? 10 more fights, and he'll probably have 5, 6, 7 more fights to probably get that title fight. He'll be right there at the perfect age, right before he probably have to move him and wait. So it'll be good for him.
All right,
and it was good that he has some things that he can learn from this fight. So this is really good for him.
Yep, like I said, I'd like to see in his next camp, that they break him of the habit of you have to knock everybody out.
Yeah,
let's get him boxing a little bit more, because as much as I like a good beatdown, as he gets to the top of this division, he's gonna need to contend with people who are good back foot evasive fighters, and that's gonna give him fits and starts.
Right. And then back foot evasive fighters who can throw with power off that back foot. Some of those guys, they'll knock you off of that counter hook. So, he has some things to learn. He has some more experience to get. But luckily, he's with Robert Garcia. Some good sparring out there in California. There's going to be good sparring in Texas. He's going to get good training. So, I think the future's really bright for Mr. Ortiz.
Absolutely. All right. That wraps up our coverage here for Ortiz Jr. versus Solomon on DAZN. Tomorrow night, we go over to our sister sport in the world of combat sports, mixed martial arts, UFC 245, their last big card, last pay-per-view of 2019, Usman versus Covington, Amanda Nunes versus Pig Hostage, and poor Jermaine Durandame. She's going to get moited. And I believe Max Holloway versus Volkanovski, if I have that right. We're going to skip the following week because I will be away with my family. Then we have, we'll either do Fader versus Rampage or Davis versus Gamboa. We'll see what happens. To be continued. And then finally, we start the year off with a pro wrestling card. ICW New York, no holds barred. The ropes have made of chains. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Chains. So that'll be fun. In the meantime, we had a lot of shows drop this week. They just kept on coming. We had The Crown Season 3, Gotham Central Book 2, Jokers and Madmen. Have you had an opportunity to check out our History of Boxing Chapter 2? We did a whole thing on Jack Dempsey.
You asking me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no, sir, I haven't yet.
Well, I would invite you to. It's those who have heard it seem to have enjoyed it. The next one we're going to do,
check that out.
Chapter 3 is going to be on Joe Louis. You can look for that probably after the holidays because schedule's pretty packed right now. But Pat Mullen and I will get Joe Louis done in short order, hopefully. Myself and Jesse Starcher knocked out not one but two album reviews. We did Life of Agony, River Runs Red, and the spiritual sequel, 26 years later, The Sound of Scars. And then, in a holiday treat for all of our podcast fans, myself and Sean Comer dusted off Long Road to Ruin, and we did the Santa Claus trilogy. So that was fun. Next week is kind of an abbreviated week. We've got Runaways by Rainbow Rowell. We've got a Damn You Hollywood review for Jumanji 3. The Next Level. We'll have Runaways Season 3 TV Party and WWE TLC TV Party review on December 18th. And then that's it for that week, man. I got Star Wars to go to. Goddamn. So you can check out all of that. We'll have Star Wars the following week, Fuller House, and then we'll kick things off in the new year with some Fight Club. Remember that movie? That nobody seems to have understood and completely didn't get the point of. It's good fun. So we'll talk about Fight Club in the new year. I want to thank John War from Boxing and Brews for coming on with me here tonight. Go ahead and tell them where they can find your website and how to find you and all that.
Oh, yeah, you can find boxing articles and analysis at hoopsandbrews.com/boxing. You can find me on Twitter at boxingandbrews.com. And also my personal Twitter is at insecurityguy.
All right. This has been the Radulich Broadcasting Network. Alternative commentary for Ortiz Jr. versus Solomon. Be well, be safe, and behave.